Okay. Let's just go quickly through the patterns.
Okay.
You start.
Okay. I'll do thrust start.
And shape.
Okay. Swingy.
What happened?
I jiggled the thing and the camera fell down.
Oh no. And I'm just going to do some shape.
Okay, you do the shape. I guess this.
You're doing shaping by fixing the camera.
Yeah, I'll fix the camera. There we go. Oh, here we go. Oh, shoot. What'd I do?
Your camera's upside down, Betsy.
Got to involve the swing.
Uh-oh. Betsy may have to reconnect. I see her frozen.
Oh no.
That's okay. We'll wait for her to come back. She doesn't come on until later in the program.
That's true. That's true.
I'm back. I'm
There
back.
we go. Let's see. Go ahead and turn camera on.
Okay. Live transit, closed caption. Okay. I'm here. Okay.
Your camera's on, but black, so it might be covered.
Oh, let me see. How's that?
Still black.
Look like I have no idea what's going on.
You could log off and log back in too. That would be okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay, so Mary, I'm gonna just pull everybody off here. I'm gonna start the stream in about 30 seconds, okay?
Okay.
This is a naming of who she is. Personal story, mythology, and dance with Mary Alice Long and Betsy Wetzig. Betsy, you can hit the chat if you need to talk to me.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and start the stream. So I'm going to put you on mute now, Betsy. Okay?
I'm ready. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Mary, just remember you are on mic, so don't talk again until I give you the cue.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Live streaming about to begin. Welcome to a naming of who she is, personal story, mythology, and dance. Let's welcome your host, Mary Alice Long.
Hello, this is Mary Alice, and I am formally called Dr. Mary Alice Long. And it's very strange, I have to say, looking into the screen on my computer while we do this live stream, because I've got some interesting graphics up and so on. So bear with me as we do, as I play with this new technology. Fortunately, I have John Chen with me. He is a master at engaging virtual meetings. That's the name of his book, and that's his practice. And then I have Betsy Wetzig with me. Later on in the program, she'll be coming on. She's my friend and colleague from Allentown, Pennsylvania. We've done many different workshops together and some individual work, and met in 1994 when we both were doing an interplay workshop. And apparently I came at Betsy, I don't remember this, but she does. I remember dancing, but we were doing a paired sharing, they call it. And I did what was, I guess, an incredible thrust movement at her, and she remembered that. And later on, she called me and said, would you like to collaborate and get together and do some things? And so we've been doing that ever since, and we're great friends, and as I said, have a nice collegial relationship. So I'm really looking forward to bringing Betsy on later to talk about the coordination patterns and to do some actual movement and dance. Just as an opening, I'd like to dedicate this particular 3-hour workshop to Jerome Bernstein. And Jerome he's a elder Jungian analyst in New Mexico. And I haven't met him personally, but he totally inspires me. He's very conscious person. He looks like he's in his 90s. He's very quiet and thoughtful and slow about delivering his message, which at the time that I was with him, I was in a Friends of Jung workshop. And at the Friends of Jung workshop, let's see, we were talking about reciprocity. And it was just a wonderful discussion about reciprocity with two-leggeds and four-leggeds, and the fish in the sea and the trees and the clouds and the sky, and just about our planet and how we're sadly not taking care of our Mother Earth, and how we can build greater reciprocity between each other and between all of the beings here on Earth, and really take care of each other. And Jerome was he's just amazing. So he's no longer taking clients, from what I understand, but he's quite something. And then I'd also like to dedicate it to this workshop to Marion Woodman. She's probably the most well-known feminist and a female Jungian analyst, Canadian. She died some years ago. I have in my library all her books, and actually got to dance with her. And she at Pacifica Graduate Institute, we were able to meet and get to know each other. And since then, I followed her until her death, and now I'm always picking up her books. And so I'll be talking a little bit about her book, Addiction to Perfection, in just a minute with a story. And then Fred Rogers. I'd like to dedicate this workshop to Fred Rogers. And he was a psychologist, and many of you know him from PBS, where he had his beautiful Monday through Friday show for kids. in the neighborhood, in the neighborhood. And who doesn't remember Fred Rogers? And he has so many wise things to say about play and living and kindness and love. And so I just really appreciate him. I just want to mention to John, I've got a graphic up here, John, that's very distracting. It says this meeting is being live streamed and says leave the meeting or got it. I don't know if you can get rid of that, but it's right in my way looking
Mary,
at.
you can click got it and it will disappear.
I'm trying to do that, but let's see. There we go. Thank you. I got rid of it.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So now I can get rid of that distraction. All right. So I'd like to start with a story, which I often do. And then later on, I'll talk about myself personally and professionally, but I think it's important to leap right in and do some play with stories because stories are such a part of our life. And when we listen to stories on PBS, or we read a book, or we watch a film, or we go to an improvisational workshop, which I do, like Interplay, then you hear those stories, and those stories are our stories. And so for years, I've shared my stories, and I know that when you're listening to me, you're also listening to yourself and your inner self and what's going on inside. And that's what, and when we really listen deeply, that's what helps us move forward in life and to help us grow and to deepen our experience and to individuate and become who we are uniquely. And that's why we're here. We're here this workshop is called The Naming of Who She Is. That could be the naming of who he is. Because we're all becoming. We're all naming ourselves. We're not just our personas that we show up with at work or at home, or when we answer the phone and we say, oh, hello, and when we were just angry a minute ago. So it's just, and then we all have our personal narratives, our stories, which I share in everything that I do. I share from the personal. We have in our culture and worldwide different myths or stories that have been told for thousands of years in the caves way back. When humankind first started, there were stories. And then there's always been the body. Our bodies are so incredible, and our body movement. So just the fact that we have hands and feet and shoulders and a brain and heart and belly, and a mouth to speak with, our voice, our incredible, not just here, but it's our entire body that is really our vocal apparatus, or it's just amazing. So here's the story. So Betsy, you're listening. So I'm gonna, and I can see you, Betsy. Hi. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna tell a little bit about our story about my hair being out of place when I did the preview. So Betsy, I talked to her after I did our preview, my preview for the, John helped me do for the actual workshop. And that was just yesterday or the day before. And then when I talked to Betsy, she said, oh, but I just want to tell you, you had one little tiny hair out of place, and I just want to fix that because, and I said, oh, Betsy, and she said, well, I just want you to be perfect. I just want you to be perfect. And I said, and I know, Betsy, I know you do. I know you had your heart, you were thinking about me and loving me. But the thing is that, and I said to you, I'm never going to be that perfect. Never, 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 never. And so, right. So I fixed my hair in a better way today. I took a little time, I was helping my husband who's very ill. Some of you may know. So Michael's downstairs watching a show on PBS about horses right now. And then he's probably going to take a nap. So I think he's, pretty good. If not, Betsy could come on for a few minutes and talk to you and take you through some exercises. But anyway, I divert as I usually do. So I fixed my hair because I'm swing, I divert. I'm all swing. So we'll talk more about what that means. So when I fix my hair, or and I love to get dressed up and I love to wear jewelry. This happens to be earrings that I bought the first time I met my husband, Michael. And there's a really long story, which I won't share, but they're just really important to me. So I decided to wear these today because this is a very special day. And also because it's summer. Tomorrow is the official day of summer, I think. And there's been summer celebrations here already. So summer is a huge celebratory time and a time of really imperfection, because when we play, think about it. When you play with writing, dancing, singing, baseball, hopscotch, cooking in the kitchen, whatever it is, John, Betsy, whoever is out there listening, I know that, you're not, that things go awry. When we're gardening, plants die. When we fix our hair, we go out in the wind and it blows it all to heck. So when I'm caring for my ill husband, I don't have time necessarily to even wash my hair. Okay. I have a hard enough time just finding a time to even sit down right now at times. So right now the dogs are taken care of and everything, but the thing is, all of us have this in our life, right? So that little thing of hair has not, it's just one little example of imperfection. It's like when we do thrust, we can go, ah, or we can just do a little tiny thrust, and that was that hair. So I want to tell you about a resource that, again, Marion Woodman, very important woman in my life, Jungian analyst, who's no longer with us, but look her up if you don't know her. But Addiction to Perfection. She was very literate, and it's an amazing book. And there's Shakespeare and all kinds of different writers that she mentions in there. But it's about what we all struggle with, no matter who you are, but especially in the field that I'm in the helping professions, we struggle with that because I know that and this is the other part of the story that has to do with you as well. I work very hard because I love what I do. I love working with all of you. I love sharing through story, through dance, through play, through different creative motions, flows. And I want that for everyone. That means different things for different people. But I've helped people now for 40 years, 30 years of being in practice as a depth-oriented, arts-based professional. But before that, I was in many different fields, all helping professions, which I'll have to tell you about in more length later, but thing is that when you are a helper, or when you love the way that most of us do, our family, friends, those people that we work with, those people that we have as clients, for those of you who are psychotherapists, or those of you who work in business, you're working with with clientele, and you want to keep that clientele, but hopefully you're also looking at them as human beings and being very humanistic about your approach in business, which I would applaud. So I'll say that all that attention to others takes away from self, and to get that back, play is so important, because I have to remind myself on a moment-to-moment basis that my practice is the art of playing in the everyday, playing moment to moment. So two things. One, imperfection. how are you? Like when I'm doing painting, I did that as a way. I've been doing that periodically as a way to bring people together, just an open studio where people can come and create with me. And it used to be that I would be terrified that people would look at my art and I would hide it away. But now I'm actually showing my art. So there you have it. So what I'd like to do now is do a visualization. Okay, so I'm looking at the time just to be sure we're on track. I'd like to guide you through a visualization. So if everybody would just either stand up or move around in your spot, just kind of move around a little bit. Or wiggle in your chair, whatever you need to do. I'm just going to wiggle a little bit and then come back and sit or lie down. And you can close your eyes or you can leave them open and you can participate or not. None of this is mandatory. You can participate or not. You can go to the bathroom anytime you need to. Take care of yourself, get water, get food, because we're going to be on for 3 hours. So I've got my water, which I'm going to have a little bit of now. And we're going to do this, but we're going to do this in an easy way because as Jerome and Fred Rogers and Mary Winwood were all very good at easing into things. So let's do that. So I'd like you to take a deep breath with me, if you would. And then maybe because you're by yourself, nobody's watching, just take a deep breath and let out a bigger sigh with me. Good. Now let's just be quiet and I will lead you through a meditation and I will actually close my eyes. This is a visualization that I do on a regular basis. When you have a place of your own, you can go there anytime. It's your dream. Okay, so you're walking down a garden path. Maybe it's a path that you created in your garden, or maybe it's a place that you don't know well, a friend's garden, or even a garden somewhere in the world. Maybe it's a Japanese garden in Tokyo, or maybe it's a garden in some part of East Africa, or maybe it's in Russia in the midst of some of the chaos that's going on in Russia right now and the Ukraine. Maybe it's over there. Maybe it's in France, beautiful garden with, and then there's a lake off to the side that you can see the water glistening in the sunlight. So wherever your garden is, walk down that garden path. Now, maybe on your garden path, there's flowers, trees. Maybe there's homes that you can see off to the side or foreground. Maybe there's just little starts and woodland plants. Or maybe there's nothing at all. You decide. Then you come to some stairs. And the stairs can be any shape that you want them to be, but in my case, they're stone stairs. They might be wooden for you or some kind of fabricated wood. I don't know, but you choose. So go down those stairs, short or long. And then you find yourself at the bottom of the stairs. You turn around, you look up, and you decide, no, I'm going to keep going and there's a little bit more of a pathway, and you go around some big boulders, and you kind of poke around and to see if there's anything there, but you decide to go on, and you come around the corner. There is in my case, an abode. It's a home, it's a house, but it looks like a hobbit house, and it has a round door. And your door might look very different from my door. It could be colored, it could be white. Just imagine your door. So then you might knock on that door or just open it and just barrel right in there with your in your thrusty way. Or you might be very tentative. For me, I'm just opening up that door very gently and saying, hello, is anybody there? But no one answers. So I go in and I see that there are beautiful artworks on either side of the passageway. It's different than other homes I've been in, very different. And actually, I can see that there's not three. Oh my goodness, there are 4 stories that I can go up if I wanted to, but I decide that I want to go downstairs. So you decide what this abode looks like, or if it's an abode at all. It might be a cave, it might be a business building, it might be a place from another world, it might be a castle. Walk in any way you can, but for me, I'm going to go down the stairs down into the wherever down is. So I go down, you walk with me wherever you're going, and I'm finding a basement, actually, not a basement, but it's way down, and it's kind of musty. And I see a desk, and it's an old wooden desk. It's actually a trunk and then a bunch of books propped on top of it. And there's flowers. There's a vase of flowers. And there's a candle lit, a big candle like the candle I have lit in my studio, which I usually do before I start any workshop. I light a candle for everyone. And then I wonder if someone comes in to that room to greet you. So right now, no one has come into the room. Oh, there is somebody coming in the back door. There's another door, and that door is ajar, and they're coming in. And he looks like a wizard to me. He's got one of those pointy hats like Harry Potter. And it's got moon shapes all over it, almost like Mickey Mouse in that, I forget what the name of that movie, but where it's very magical, and he's got the broom. He's sweeping there's a lot of water in that film. So this sage is there for me. Now you have somebody perhaps who showed up, maybe not, or maybe it's a group of people or a whole crowd. I don't know. So you decide, and I'm going to give you a moment just to check in with that person or be there by yourself if that's what you need. So then my wizard, he brings out some tarot cards, and there's an image on the cards, and it's the death image. For me, that's what happens. For you, it's something else, which could be about rebirth for me. And he acknowledges that that's true. And then he kind of waves me on and says, he has to go. He has to go. So I can come back anytime. So I turn around and say goodbye. really actually bow to him. And then I turn around and I walk back the way I came. I go out the door, up the stairs, and you have to follow your own pathway, however you want to do it. It might not be the same way you came in. And then as my eyes open, I'm at the top of those stairs and I see the garden. But I decide to walk around to the water's edge and I dip my toe in there. And then I actually decided to get in the water and take a swim. And it's just lovely. It's a beautiful day, blue sky, lots of clouds like we have here in the Northwest. And then I get out and I just kind of, we used to do this at Pacifica Graduate Institute. We would swim to the beach and go back to class and we'd have our hair all wet. So my hair is all wet and I'm very imperfect. and I'm kind of hungry and I go back and there we have it. So whatever your experience was, I bet it was just the way it was supposed to be for you, the unique you. And I'd like you to take a deep breath with me if you're willing. A little sigh. And then John, just in a moment, I want to cue up the sparrow video. Now, I think it's a sparrow video, hopefully. So I'm working on I've been working on since 2004, my memoir, which has a new name, which I won't share with you right now. It's been many different names. It started off Create a Life That Comes From, it started off, I would have named him Peter. And then it was Create a Life That Comes From the Heart. And now it has a new name and it'll be coming out at the end of the year, my memoir. But this is one little performance that was, I think it's 2 or 3 minutes, that was has been part of my memoir project performances. And it has to do with a little sparrow. So I'll let John start that video. Whoa! Oh, it's a different one. Sorry. Whoa!
You're looking for your other video, correct, Mary?
Yes, we could start with that one though, John.
Okay.
So you could just reframe it.
Let me show this one. Be right back.
Okay. Whoa! Whoa! One more time. Whoa! Great. Just shake all that. Okay, you have a seat. So just to start, everybody just take their arms. So this is another performance that was done in Seattle, Washington. And then we'll go back to sparrow. Shake a leg. Just take the other leg. So whatever you're sitting on. Shake out your toes. Just follow after me. Ka, 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 ka. Okay, so that it was a little introduction to a little performance that I warm up that I did in Seattle, Washington, and so it gives you an idea of some of the play we can do. And now, John, you could key up that sparrow video. there was a bird. There was a bird who was approaching the box. I had put out a cardboard box and I attached a string to the box. And I went back a distance from the box behind a bush and waited and waited for that bird to appear. And soon a little house sparrow came. I must have been about 6. This was really a big thing for me at the time. I did this often. But that very first time when I set up this box in the backyard and I connected the string and I held it in secret, hiding behind the bush and waiting and waiting. Even at that time felt very special. It was about freedom. Freedom! I felt that even as a 6-year-old. Freedom! I wanted that so much. And how was I going to find it? I found it through the exact opposite. By trapping this small wee bird. So I put some crumbs in the box, and eventually the bird went in the box, and I slammed the box over the bird. The poor little house sparrow tried to get out, and just in a few seconds, I flipped the box over. And each time, the bird flew. And I felt that throughout my entire body, that feeling of flying, of lifting away. I'm just getting rid of a couple things that are in my way. There we go. Technologically speaking. So that is the beginning of a performance that I did also in Washington State, a part of the memoir project. And the title of that story is called Sparrow. And Sparrow is that story is very integral. This beginning story really as to one of the key reasons why I became a surrogate mother and gave a baby away to a couple. And the couple, the wife, the adoptive mother, she was my psychotherapist. So she took advantage of my empathy for couples who couldn't give birth, because I worked in that field in nursing and obstetrics and antepartum care. And so she took advantage and she accepted my offer to be a surrogate mother for her. And as a result, I gave her a baby who they called Billy. And I wanted to name Peter. It's a long story, part of my memoir. And Sparrow, little tiny bird Sparrow, part of what we see here in the Northwest, is very much part of that book. So I hope that you'll at some point be able to enjoy reading the whole story. That's just the beginning. Now I wanted to share next, because this workshop is called Naming of Who She Is. So you all think about naming of who you are in life, both personally and professionally. So I told you a little bit about me personally. I'm married, and I've been married for going on 31 years now to my husband, Michael, the love of my life. And so truly, we're on a honeymoon now with he's had prostate cancer for 30 years, and we're going through another cycle with that. And he's had radiation treatment, and he's doing better, but he's very fatigued after that. And then we have 2 dogs, and I've had the 4 babies, but 3 I raised, and 3 adult children. They're in their 40s, and I have 6 grandchildren. And Betsy she has three grandchildren, if I'm counting right. And so we're both grandmothers, and I am 69, about to be 70 in December, and December 28th to be exact. And so I am entering crondom soon, although I don't really, that's a word that is used frequently and goes way back, but I really like the term late life transformation. So I'm in late life transformation. There's an analyst, Jungian analyst, who wrote about late life transformation. She's from Providence, Rhode Island. And I really love her book, and other books that are coming out slowly about what it means to be in the time period I'm in right now, and how it can be one of the most creative periods of your life. And I'm finding that that's so true. And I think Betsy is too. We're both around the same age. So, and by the way, John, I'm not seeing the chat, so we'll just have to let that one go. So anyway, that's my personal, that's part of my personal story. Cancer has been in our lives. I've had breast cancer in 98. My mom, at the same time that I did, I had 2 dreams of us both having breast cancer. Mom, I dreamt that she had a fiery chest, and I went to check her out, and sure enough, she had a lump, and we both were treated. And then okay, John's telling me it's okay. Good. Glad it's okay. And then recently I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I was on a sabbatical working some with the medical center and the community here, but taking 2 years, a little over 2 years away from my practice, pretty much. And now I'm back at it. So I've only been back working steadily with the practice, which is newly revised under Mary Alice Long. If my license is a licensed clinical social worker, and I've had a doctorate that I earned from Pacifica Graduate Institute, which is a well-known depth psychology school. If you don't know of it, I would invite you to look it up. It's in, there's 2 different campuses now. One in Carpinteria, California, nearby Santa Barbara, and then one in Santa Barbara, which used to be a Catholic retreat center. Before that, I was in parent education, childbirth education, nursing, health education, and I worked in nursing as an obstetrical nurse, and in high risk obstetrics, and with birth centers and with midwives, and then did a lot of sitting, being with women during birth, and also postpartum. And so I have I do a lot of work with women who have lost in their lives, including during the pregnancy or during difficult births or miscarriages or stillborns, and traumatic pregnancies. And let's see, what else about me professionally? So I've had recently this rheumatoid arthritis and and also some mental health issues that came out of the ether as I went into the same thing that Carl Jung and other philosophers and artists have done over time. Went down into Hades, went down into the deep waters, and have just had a really beautiful, in many ways, creative time in that kind of a deep experience. But it can be very powerful. And at times I felt like I'm being pulled under, just like Carl Jung did, where he was wondering if he was going into psychosis. Well, I've had that feeling, am I going to go over? And had to call people and say, can you be with me? I'm learning about what I'm calling BP, bipolar, the atypical bipolar disorder, and also rheumatoid arthritis, and working with the doctors and so on. And one of the things I know is that there's standard medicine, which has its gifts, but also there's been so many really not good things that have happened to me in the traditional medical world, but there's been some really good things. I have an excellent rheumatologist. I have an excellent psychiatrist that I'm working with. And Michael has some really good oncologists, and he wouldn't be alive today without those people. And then there's what they call alternative medicine. Alternative medicine, meaning acupuncture, craniosacral work, body work of any kind, massage, etc. Those are really not alternative. Those are healthcare. And then there's mental health care, which is also healthcare. Dental care is healthcare. So our culture segments everything. And unfortunately, with my family history and things that I'm finding out about, that the rheumatoid arthritis raised up for me, is that I've had these symptoms all along in my life, all the way from childhood, but I didn't recognize it. And it got me into trouble. And it probably had something to do with why I could be a surrogate mother, because it's really difficult to be a surrogate mother. I had one woman that I interviewed for my doctoral dissertation who is a psychologist, who did this, who was a surrogate for her sister, who had uterine cancer and had everything taken out, all of her uterus and fallopian tubes and everything. So she was a surrogate for her younger sister. And last I heard that was very successful. So usually you see surrogacy in the Bible. And now it's not commonplace, but it's part of our legal system. In some states it's legal, in some states it's not. And then in different countries, there's all these things happening about it. There's more conversation. There's been stories on NPR, but I was a gestational surrogate. So that means I carried a baby with my own egg. And so there's just a lot to the story. So, but one of the things that goes back to the bigger story and the memoir that I'm writing, and also my personal, the personal Mary Alice, is that I come from, that has to do with our who we are, is our ancestry. So my ancestry, coming from my maternal side, is French Canadian. And it's very, very important to me. I'm currently learning how to speak French Canadian. I guess it's French, but it has an accent. Bonjour. And so, and no, no is no, and oui is yes. And so I am learning slowly as an adult, and there's an app that I'm using, and I'm writing about the story of my family. So this is the next video, if I'm not, hopefully I'm correct on this, John, is the French Canadian ancestry story from one of my memoir project stories. I'd like to show you right now. I come from maternal French-Canadian roots. My mom died almost exactly 5 years ago today. I had a dream. There is an open field, and in the field, someone or some beings created a word out of rocks that if you were to look from high above, you could see very easily. So these were large stones creating this very important word. And the word in French is courage. Courage. Don't we all need courage in our lives? And I felt my mom in the dream coming to me, and my maternal ancestors bringing me that message. The French-Canadian women came over with their families from France in 1670. In 1670, they had a contract with the king. And the contract said that these women would be burned to the point of emulation, which means the fire. So they were going to be built up, housed through the church, fed, in order to birth children for the king. Each family was paid a certain sum. And in the process, these women were burnt up. They withered away, many of them. They were depressed. And if they were wearing pelts, they would lose their pelts in that time and shed, and their skin would start to crack. And they would be slowly dying for king and church. Hi, everyone. So, yes, my mom's name was, my mom died in 2008. Her name was Denise Lucille Wazell. And my grandmother, Victorine Roberge, and my grandfather went by the name of Fonzie. Alphonse was his name, but apparently he was utilized a lot in the village, and they, he worked so hard and ate the French Canadian very heavy cholesterol foods and died at an early age in his 40s. So that's part of the story too. The larger story. Yeah. Okay. So, John, are you saying that we're not going to go to Jung and play?
We can. We just moved over it. Marianne or Mary Alice, we can go back if you like.
I would like to go back. Yeah.
Okay. Let me know when.
Okay. So I was going to introduce Jung and Play. Jung and Play is a series that I did and then still doing for Jung institutes and organizations. And it's about how in Jungian psychology, we talk a lot about archetypes, and archetypes such as the child, which is a very important archetype, Jung said. And of course, children love to play. So Jung did, in his collective works, he wrote about play. And now some of his followers are also writing about play, such as myself. There'll be a book coming out later on, hopefully in the next year, about related to Jungian psychology and play and creativity. So, you know, it's an amazing field, play, especially when we're looking at adults, because most adults in our cultures do not believe in dreams. There's a movie that I actually did a whole series around, where they went out in the streets and they asked people, do you believe in dream or dream play? And 80% of the people that they interviewed said, on the streets and just randomly, said, no way. Why would I pay attention to something like that? That's just my undigested food causing me trouble. So, but dreams for me are part of my play. They're a big part of my play. They help me to lead my life, because they're there for my healing. They're there to help me to become who I am. And then if you talk about, when you talk about play with adults, you get some really interesting reactions. And this is what, when I play this for you, you'll see what happened at one of the retreat centers where I've done some play shops, Jungian play shops. This one was in North Carolina, and you'll see what happens when John keys that up, Jungian play. Here we go. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct. I love that quote.
I'd like to introduce our speaker for tonight, Mary Alice Long. Mary Alice lives in Langley, so she's a Northwest person. She earned her PhD from Pacifica Graduate Institute. She's going to be talking on play, as you know, and she's director of Play Equals Peace, which is working with adults who need to recover their playfulness and spontaneity. She has 3 adult children and 4 grandchildren, and today she spent some time with her 16-month-old twins, her granddaughters or sons, or one of each? One of each, all right. Okay, and she also has 2 dogs. And she recently presented this program in Charlotte, North Carolina, and also in California. And after tonight, she will be going to the World Creativity Forum in Oklahoma City. So let's welcome Mary Alice Long.
Thank you, Bunny. Hello, everybody. Hello out there. Yes, so I'm Mary Alice Long. Welcome to everybody. And yes, we're going to talk about play tonight. So before I launch in about myself, I'd like to just maybe say a few words about play in the Jungian community that I've noticed. I'm a big noticer, and kind of like to playfully report on what I notice. So one of the things that I've noticed, and in particular, or in response to my being at the Journey Conference in Charlotte, North Carolina, I was there to present Jungian play, and everyone there knew that. And so a number of people, I mean, probably half the people there, and there were 70, came up to me, and with very serious faces, like that, very tense bodies, they asked me, "What are you going to do to us? What are we being called to asked to do? What play are you going to have us do?" Now, I've been asked this question many times over the last 30 years, playing with people, okay? So, but at this point, I really realized that it is difficult for adults in our culture to play. Our society says play does not benefit you. What benefits you is working a lot, being in the trenches, taking achievement tests, GRE tests, towards your grad school, and so forth, and then coming up with a good grade. And so there you are, and coming up with a good raise. It's all, well, money is very important word in our culture, isn't it? Lots of images around money. So what I'd like you to do now, and John's going to put up a timer. I'd like you to, if you're willing, to take out a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. And we'll go to the silky dance after we write for 5 minutes. And I'll talk about it first, John. Okay, good. So we're gonna do, before we do our next section, we're gonna do a little writing exercise. So this one, remember when I was talking about imperfection, and that's what these people who came to the workshop, all the retreatants, men and women, they were worried about being imperfect. They were worried about what this word play meant to them. Were they going to embarrass themselves? Were they going to look idiotic? Were they going to look unprofessional? Were they going to step into the unknown? And so, and that's what I believe that when we're worried about being perfect, which is never going to happen, never, never, never. We're not perfect beings. We're human beings. We're human beings. We're love beings. And so we're gonna write just for 5 minutes on I'm going to have you write just for 5 minutes on the topic of imperfection. And the prompt will be something like this: when I'm imperfect, I feel like ... When I try to be perfect ... or something, whatever the prompt is you want. Those are 2 suggestions. So I want you to take your pen or your pencil or your marker and your piece of paper and notes. It can be just a napkin or a scratch pad or your journal or whatever. I put that in the chat, but some of you may not have seen that. Just like my picture, just start writing. Don't take the pen off the page, just keep writing. And if you don't know what to write, just say, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write, until you write something. So I'm going to, Johnny, going to set the timer. I'll be looking at the time. So let's just start writing. There we go. When I'm imperfect, I ... when I'm trying to be perfect, when I'm trying so hard and things don't work out, dot, dot, dot. When I make a mistake, dot, dot, dot. Okay, everyone. So just take a few more seconds to finish up your story, to complete your story. And then a lot of times in person or even online, we'd have the ability to share a few stories with each other. But since that's not the case, let me read a little bit about what I wrote. just to give you a example. When I'm imperfect or fall on my face, I, for the most part, feel free to be. Life is so much easier now that I know in an embodied sense that perfection is not to be. I'm never going to be like Mary, the Madonna, nor do I want to be. I am way too diverse. And also I can't learn if everything stays the same. I want to be free to be me, the unique Mary Alice in Wonderland long stockings, falling down the rabbit hole with Alice. That's what I wrote. And I didn't write for exactly 5 minutes, but because I wanted to make sure to come back with you guys. But so now we're going to take if you would, just take another deep breath and kind of shake it out. Shake it out. Shake your bottom, shake your head, shake your voice. And then we'll move on to the next section of our day. And what I'd like to do is to share, and I shared on the preview for those of you who saw it, a little bit about the silky myth. Now, so let me tell you a little bit about the myth and also about how I came to create the dance that you will see at the end. So I was in the 90s. I was at Cal Poly University. I was working. It was a pre-doc placement, and I was a counselor in the counseling center at Cal Poly University in San Luis Obispo. And I was working with mostly students, but some faculty and their kids as a counselor, as a therapist. And it was really good. But they also had the ability, you could take any classes you wanted to for free. And so I chose to take some classes, but this was the reason why. I had a dream. And in Jungian psychology, dreams are big. So, and for me, since way back, I have paid attention to my dreams. And dreams are as I said, just part of my play, part of the way that I process the world and integrate information for myself. I see things ahead of time. I know they're coming. I can visit other worlds. And I've only got this much, the tip of the iceberg. I've had many dream teachers, Stephen Eisenstadt and others, but he was the president. Now he's the provost, I think, of Pacifica. I'm not sure. But he has a wonderful way to work with dreams and has many resources. But Robert Moss is my main teacher right now, and he promotes something called active dreaming. So I had this dream, and it came to me in the middle of it. It was a night dream. It wasn't a waking dream, like a daydream or a lucid dream. And in the dream, I had who was present was my research professor at Pacifica, Bob Ramanujan. And Bob was leading a whole band of characters like clowns and acrobats. It was like a circus. And I was there, and I was part of that. And it was just a lot of fun. And then when I woke up, I said, this is what I said: I am supposed to create a dance video. How am I supposed to create a dance video? Oh my goodness, that's what my dream is asking me to do. And so I started to take dance lessons at Cal Poly. And one of the women that's on today, another professional, actually, I told the story for some of her research that she was doing. She added that. And I've told it in those kind of venues, but I haven't really written about this in full, which I want to do. So I'm telling you, so that's great. So So I started taking dance lessons, and I also and I had taken dance lessons in my life as a child, but I hadn't really entered into the dance world as an adult. And so I took a modern dance class, and the teacher was really great. And I was with 20 somethings, so I was with the younger crowd. And I don't know, at that stage, I was in my 40 something, whatever. And so not old by any stretch of the imagination, but I was older. And they had been dancing from their childhood, a lot of them. So I was out of practice, but I leapt right in, which I do because I'm all swing. And I started to work with the different dance movements and some choreography. And the teacher at the end of the course, she wanted us to do a project. So I did a version of what would later become the dance video. I did a version of my story of being a surrogate mother. And I remember I did quite a bit of it in a chair, and I was actually doing some birthing motions, and it was very powerful. And she later sent me a card saying that it was the most powerful thing she'd ever seen a student do, which really pleased me, made my heart sing. And in addition to taking dance classes, I did all kinds of body work. I did cranial sacral work. I did rolfing. I did massage. I did acupuncture. I just knew that I needed to do that in order to do this dance fully. I met with a student choreographer. We worked together to create the dance. And she had me try different movements, and she would try different ways to say it. And finally, I would say, well, tell me in a different way. That often works with writing too. Just let's think about this in a different way. And so, I was able to, I created this dance, which you will see when I finish this monologue, I guess you want to call it. So this teaching. And then I also got a camera. And the camera, I had never used a film camera like that for films, but I dove right in, and I got a costume designer, a student costume designer, and she helped me create the seal costume, which became all torn and tattered during the process of doing I actually danced for 4 hours on a makeshift stage with nails sticking up out of it. They didn't have covers. So my costume actually got torn apart like the seals. And then I also edited, we filmed it. I found the place to film it. I edited it, and then I had a filmmaker put it together, and it was called the Good Enough Video. So that is how the Selkie, the actual video was made, backing up the story that was chosen. How was I going to do a seal or dance video? It wasn't even a seal video, but then I started getting images and dreams, and I was visited in the water. I met up with a seal nose to nose, a harbor seal, and I knew something was afoot. And then I started to look at mythology, anthropology, all kinds of different different sciences, biology, different sciences outside of psychology, because again, I'm swing. So yes, psychology is very important to me. But I wanted to branch out. So I started to look into mythology, and I found that there were a lot of, in Jungian psychology, and Jung talked about the waters as the waters of the unconscious. So I looked up for watery stories, and there were mermaids, there were sea monsters, and so on. But there were also silkies, And silkies are seal women who, in this case of this particular myth, they're in the Celtic lands. And so I visited with the Silkies actually in Scotland when I went there with my son and husband for my son's graduation. After graduated from University of Washington, I visited in a skiff. I went out in a little rowboat and visited with the Silkies, and this is the myth came from Women Who Run with the Wolves, or the version of the myth came from that. It's called Seal Skin, Soul Skin. And when I danced when I finally got to rehearsal before the filming, I danced in a studio, which was in the Odd Fellows Hall, if you can believe it, in San Luis Obispo. And also, excuse me, I was looking at the chat for a second, I got diverted. I danced in the studio in this Odd Fellows Hall, also danced on the beach. And this private beach where later the elephant seals started to come. So I had elephant seals charging me. An elephant seal was charging me, and the Selkie, the harbor seal, watched me as I danced on the beach and as we were filming. So I have film from the beach and I have film from the studio. And the end result is the shot in the studio, makeshift studio that we did for the dance video. So again, I'd like you to take a deep breath with me. And remember what Jerome Bernstein, one of my key mentors, he doesn't know that, but a lot of people don't know they're my mentors. I really admire that kind of gentleness and intellectual mind, intellectualization. He's just amazing spirit and learned person too, and has lots of wisdom. And so in that spirit of all the learning and that we can have from our stories and our myths that come from around the world, I want to read you Seal Skin, Soul Skin. And I'm going to read right from I'm going to read right from the Women Who Run with the Wolves. During a time that once was, is now gone forever, and will come back again soon, there is day after day of white sky, white snow, and all the tiny specks in the distance are people or dogs or bear. Here nothing thrives for the asking. The winds blow hard, so the people have to come to wear their parkas and mamluks, boots sideways on purpose now. Here words freeze in the open air, and whole sentences must be broken from the speaker's lips and thawed at the fire so people can see what has been said. Here the people live in the white and abundant hair of old Aniluk, the old grandmother, the old sorceress who is Earth herself. And it was in this land that there lived a man so lonely that over the years, tears had carved great chasms in his cheeks. He tried to smile and be happy. He hunted, he trapped, and he slept well, but he wished for human company. Sometimes out in the shallows in his kayak, when a seal came near, he remembered the old stories about how seals were once human, and the only reminder of that time was their eyes, which were capable of portraying those looks, those wise and wild and loving looks. And sometimes then he felt such a pang of loneliness that tears coursed down the well-used cracks in his face. One night he hunted past dark, but found nothing. As the moon rose in the sky and the ice floes glistened, he came to a great spotted rock in the sea, and it appeared to his keen eye that upon that old rock there was no movement of the most graceful kind. He paddled slow and deep to be closer, and there atop the mighty rock danced a small group of women, naked as the first day they lay upon their mothers' bellies. Well, he was a lonely man with no human friends but in memory, and he stayed and watched. The women were like beings made of moon milk, and their skins shimmered with little silver dots, like those on the salmon in springtime. And the women's feet and hands were long and graceful. He paddled slow and deep to be closer, and there atop the mighty rock danced a small group of women. So beautiful were they that the man sat stunned in his boat, the water lapping, taking him closer and closer to the rock. He could hear the magnificent women laughing. At last they seemed to laugh, or it was the water laughing. Was it the water laughing at the edge of the rock? The man was confused, for he was so dazzled. But somehow the loneliness that had weighed on his chest like wet hide was lifted away, and almost without thinking, as though he was meant, he jumped up onto the rock and stole one of the sealskins laying there. He hid behind an outcropping and he pushed the sealskin into his parka. Soon, one of the women called in a voice that was the most beautiful that he had ever heard, like the whales calling at dawn. Oh no, maybe it was more like the newborn wolves tumbling down the spring. Well, no, it may be something better than that, but it did not matter because what were the women doing now? He asked. Why, they were putting on their seal skins, and one by one, the seal women were slipping into the sea, yelping and crying happily, except for one. The tallest of them searched high and searched low for her sealskin, but it was nowhere to be found. The man felt emboldened. By what? He did not know. He stepped from the rock, appealing to her. Woman, be my wife. I am a lonely man. Oh, I cannot be your wife, she said, for I am of the other, the ones who live beneath the waters. Be my wife, insisted the man. In 7 summers, I will return your seal skin to you, and you may stay or you may go as you wish. The young seal woman looked long into his face with eyes that, but for her true origins, seemed human. Reluctantly, she said, I will go with you. After 7 summers, it shall be decided. So in time, they had a child whom they called Uruk, and the child was lithe and fat. In winter, the mother told Uruk tales of the creatures that live beneath the sea, while the father whittled a bear in white stone with his long knife. When his mother carried the child Uruk to bed, she pointed out through the smoke hole to the clouds and all their shapes, except instead of recounting the shapes of raven and bear and wolf, she recounted the stories of walrus, whale, seal, and salmon. For those were the creatures she knew. But as time went on, her flesh began to dry out. First it flaked, then it cracked. The skin of her eyelids began to peel. The hairs of her head began to drop to the ground. She became the palest white. Her plumpness began to wither. She tried to conceal her limp. Each day her eyes, without her willing it so, became more dull. She began to put out her hand in order to find her way, for her sight was darkening. And so it went until one night when the child Ulrich was awakened by shouting and he sat upright in his sleeping skins. He heard a roar like a bear that was his father berating his mother. He heard a crying like silver rung on stone that was his mother. You hid my sealskin 7 long years ago, and now the 8th winter comes. I want what I am made of return to me, cried the seal woman. I want what I am made of return to me, cried the seal woman. And you, woman, would leave me if I gave it to you, booms the husband. I do not know what I would do. I only know I must have what I belong to. And you would leave me wifeless and the boy motherless? You are bad. And with that, her husband tore the hide flap of the door aside and disappeared into the night. The boy loved his mother much. He feared losing her and so cried himself to sleep, only to be awakened by the wind, a strange wind. It seemed to call to him, Ulrich, Ulrich. And the bed he climbed so hastily that he put his parka on upside down and pulled his mucklucks only halfway up. Hearing his name called over and over, he dashed out into the starry, starry night. Ulrich. The child ran out to the cliff overlooking the water, and there, far out in the windy sea, was a huge, shaggy silver seal. Its head was enormous. Its whiskers drooped to its chest. Its eyes were deep yellow. Ulrich. The boy scrambled down the cliff and stumbled at the bottom over a stone, no, a bundle that he had rolled out of a cleft in the rock. The boy's hair lashed at his face like 1,000 rains of ice. Ulrich. The boy scratched open the bundle and shook it out. It was his mother's sealskin. Oh, and he could smell her all the way through it. And he hugged the sealskin to his face and inhaled her scent. Her soul slammed through him like a sudden winter wind. Oh, he cried with pain and joy and lifted the skin again to his face, and again her soul passed through his. Oh, he cried again, for he was being filled with the unending love of his mother. And the old silver seal, way out, sank slowly beneath the water. The boy climbed the cliff and ran towards home with the sealskin flying behind him, and into the house he fell. His mother swept him and the skin up and closed her eyes in gratitude for the safety of both. She pulled on her sealskin. Oh, mother, no, cried the child. She scooped up the child, tucked him under her arm, and half ran and half stumbled towards the roaring sea. Oh, mother, don't leave me, Ulrich cried. And at once she could tell she wanted to stay with her child. She wanted to, but something called her, something older than she, older than he, older than time. Oh, mother, no, 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 cried the child. She turned to him with a dreadful love in her eyes. She took the boy's face in her hands and breathed her sweet breath into his lungs. Once, twice, 3 times. Then with him under her arm like a precious bundle, she dove into the sea, down and down and down and still deeper down, and the seals woman and her child breathed easily underwater. And they swam deep and strong till they entered the underworld water cove of seals where all manner of creatures were dining and singing, dancing and speaking, and the great silver seal that had called to Ulrich from the night sky embraced the child and called him grandson. How fare you up there, daughter? Asked the great silver seal. The seal woman looked away and said, I hurt a human, a man who gave his all to have me, but I cannot return to him, for I shall be a prisoner if I do. And the boy? Asked the old seal. My grandchild? He said it so proudly his voice shook. He must go back, father. He cannot stay. His time is not yet to be here with us. And she wept, and together they wept. And so some days and nights passed, 7 to be exact, during which time the luster came back to the seal woman's hair and eyes. She turned a beautiful dark color. Her sight was restored. Her body regained its plumpness, and she swam uncrippled. Yet it came time to return the boy to land. On that night, the old grandfather seal and the boy's beautiful mother swam with the child between them. Back they went, back, up and up and up to the topside world. There they gently placed Ulrich on the stony shore in the moonlight. His mother assured him, I am always with you. Only touch what I have touched, my fire sticks, my ulu knife, my stone carvings of otters and seal, and I will breathe into your lungs a wind for the sings of your songs. The old silver seal and his daughters kissed the child many times. At last they tore themselves open and swam out to sea. And with one last look at the boy, they disappeared beneath the waters. And Uruk, because it was not his time, stayed. As time went on, he grew to be a mighty drummer and singer and a maker of stories. And it was said this all came to be because as a child, he had survived being carried out to sea by the great seal spirits. Now, in the gray mists of morning, sometimes he can still be seen with his kayak tethered, kneeling upon a certain rock in the sea, seeming to speak to a certain female seal who often comes near the shore. Though many have tried to hunt her, time after time they have failed. She is known as Panquikok. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. The bright one, the holy one. And it is said that though she be a seal, her eyes are capable of portraying those human looks, those wise and wild and loving looks. And even as I read this again and out loud, especially, I know that my son is with me. My son, as the story goes, died of metastatic skin cancer in 2017. I finally got to meet him in September 2017, and he died in October 2017 of complete brain shutdown. And so there's a symbol of the rock, there's a symbol of the water, there's the seal, there's the abandonment, but also the release. There's so much in this story and so much in my story, my personal story, and so much in all of your stories. And so now we'll take a deep breath, release that back to the waters of the unconscious and to myth and to story, to the gift of story. And we're going to now, John, play the silky dance. You'll see my story juxtaposed with the story of the silky. I gave a baby away and had to watch from afar, just like the silky did. And without reclaiming my pelt, I would never be able to do the work that I am today, which is to help people to play and create and become their unique selves. So I'll let you watch the video. And that dance was completed in 1996, and I presented to the doctoral committee in 97 and received my doctorate from Pacifica Graduate Institute. Now, John had mentioned on chat that he and Betsy both wrote during that 5 minutes of writing that we did on imperfection. So I'd love for them to read, if they're willing, what they wrote. And then I'd like us to do another 5-minute write on around what we just all witnessed in terms of the Silky Myth, the story, and the dance. So Betsy, you want to read what you wrote?
Sure. I won't read the whole thing because that would take 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, okay. Read what you want to read.
Right at the end, because I think that's kind of the best part. Okay. I said, I like to make mistakes. I like to, I have long used them to make new things and missing things, to learn to see in new ways. I really don't mind making mistakes or being imperfect. I use my hang and let go. I see what is the essence of the mistakes, and I use that to do some good things. Mistakes usually lead me to laughter because then I can laugh at myself, and I enjoy laughing at myself and my mistakes. I enjoy what mistakes tell me about me. I enjoy mistakes because they are part of me.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Betsy. And John, are you willing to read yours?
Sure. I suspect that Betsy and I maybe don't reflect the majority of people, because I can tell you that when I work with other people, such as teams, that's not what I get. I get a lot of other fear of failure, but things that I wrote down are like when I'm imperfect, I'm okay. When I'm imperfect, I get feedback on what else I should do. When I'm perfect, I actually enjoy that. I'm a Virgo, but it usually knows that it takes quite a lot of effort to get something quote unquote perfect. But even today, even with rehearsal and practice, sometimes we're imperfect, and that's fine.
No, and it's okay.
Yeah, when I'm perfect, sometimes I feel exhausted. uh, let's see. Oh, when I'm imperfect, I scramble to make it at least right quickly. When I do make a mistake, most of the time, I'm fine. Sometimes I feel bad if the mistake is big enough, and but most of the time you're trying to find out how big of an impact did it really have. Um, and oh, I like this one. I think hopefully Betsy will like this one. When I'm imperfect, I just really like to screw up big. There you go.
That's great. I like that one too. Well, thank you so much for sharing, both of you. I really appreciate it. And again, another time we'll try it where we have more people come on and then we can share, maybe even in group sharings. I like to do the small group sharings. So yeah, so John, I'd like to go, before we go to the next, to movement and everything, I'd like to go to one more writing exercise. Can we do that?
Of course.
Okay, so I like the timer. And this one, if you imagine, I just want to say, if you imagine seals out there, or the otters or the whales, any of the animals that are out there, in the fish, they have to survive in really tremendous difficulties. And it's not calm all the time, that's for sure. Very, very infrequently it's calm. And they are definitely not perfect. They use a lot of serendipity, a lot of chance, a lot of, oh my gosh, I almost got eaten by a shark. But I didn't, because I did this or did that. And so as human beings, we have that same opportunity to try different things. And sometimes, like John was saying, the saying about when this door closes, another door will open. Well, what I like to think about it as, when you come to that door and it's closed, instead of struggling with that door, think about, and I have, believe me, I have for years, but recently I've really come to the idea that it's easier to, after you give it some due, I'm not happy with that, and then look at those what opportunity is coming up. Because after living for 69 years, I can see over and over and over again that when those doors closed, it was meant to be closed. It was meant to be closed, except for, there are a few occasions where I just, because of my shadow, which in Jungian psychology, there's a lot of shadow play, where we don't see our good qualities. We don't see our difficult qualities for everybody else. Like, I can be very impulsive and very pushy at times. And generally I'm not like that. It's when I'm in total override of which we're going to be playing with our movement patterns, energy patterns. And so all of that put together, let's take a look at those opportunities that come up. And those opportunities are not ever going to be perfect opportunities. There's always going to be something that isn't quite right. Okay. So what I like, and in the case of the going back to our Silky myth, I like us to write, just to really finish off our story and our time together with the myth, because I think myths are so important, and we can rewrite our own personal myth. There's many people out there who, and I've done some work with this too, where we take our personal myth, like for me, that's one of my myths. And so we rewrite it, rewrite it, rewrite it. We spend our whole life rewriting our myths, our stories. Our dreams never stay the same. They continuously change. If you pay attention to your dreams, if you do, they change. They transform. Absolutely. And so I'd like you to write, let's just take a deep breath. Let it go and shake it out a little bit. Shake your arms out, shake your feet out, shake what you're sitting out on, shake your head. And just kind of scrub your face a little bit, relax your neck. And take that piece of paper, that journal, and pen or pencil, and write about, for 5 minutes, when I lose my pelt, ... When I step out of the waters of the unconscious, when I go into those waters, when I'm creative, when I claim my pelt, what happens? So either you can write about when I lose it and I'm not who I am naturally, and I'm drying out, and I'm sick, and I'm ill, and I have to go to bed because I overworked, rather than taking a break or taking some time off. Even if, what really works is if you just take break like every 5 minutes of every hour, or make sure you have lunch. So it doesn't have to be this. There's no ease. That's what we're looking for. Ease, not perfection. So when I lose my pelt, that's one. When I lose my pelt, I ... Or the other prompt is when I step out of my own creative self, my own sense of who I am, when I step out of my inner life, my inner being, ... What happens? So let's write for 5 minutes, and I'll write with you. Okay, everyone finish up their story, complete their story. Okay, let's see what time it is. All right, so I like to just complete this section of our workshop by just reading what I wrote, and then we're going to go into some movement. When I lose my pelt, I lose my soul, who I am uniquely. I placate others, say yes when I want to say or need to say no. I work too much at things that are not purposeful or go around in circles, even saying, what the heck am I doing? I lose my center, my groundedness. When I lose my pelt, I lose all of my softness, and anger emerges that really is a mask for depression, loss, and sadness. When I lose my pelt, all of my spirit dampens, and I am the opposite of playful, cranky, irritable, bossy, even unkind with my words and actions. When I lose my pelt, I am unable to stay warm and shiver in the coldness of being separate, lonely, and other. I feel disconnected from what I love. So thank you everyone for listening. And I know, I hope it was a good experience listening to the story. It was really interesting for me to read it, the full story. I thought about just giving you the summary again, which I've done many times. But I thought it would be, because as a writer, when you read your writing, it's such a different experience because all the emotion comes up. And I can tell you that I felt that. I really felt like I could just go and have a good cry. So I really felt that when I was reading it too, and I hope that you felt that with me. Okay, so now I want to just have us take another deep breath and relax and let go. And just, we've got about another hour before we're complete, a little bit more than an hour. It's 4:55 Pacific time right now. So that would make it what, 8 o'clock Betsy's time, so close to 8. Yeah, so dance and movement. So this is called The Naming of Who She Is, Personal Experience, Personal Story, Myth, and Dance. So you see my silky dance, that dance actually came before I that dance came along with, I should say, a whole lot of, I also did a lot of improvisational classes. I was in interplay. I was in authentic movement. I was in a little bit of 5 rhythms movement, and other movement styles. And I was taking a ballet class for a little bit, just the beginning, tap dancing, and then singing, a lot of singing vocal classes and taking some vocal lessons. So that all of that play goes together. But so when we're dancing or we're moving, the voice often comes into play. It just naturally does. So, but sometimes it's natural to have the voice come, but sometimes because of our culture, and oftentimes actually, for me, it's easy now, but for most of you, it probably would not be. And it would be, you'd be reserved and not letting out that voice that is so within you to be shared and so needed to be shared. So again, everything that I'm sharing today, well, majority of people in our culture do not don't do these things. And so we're just starting at the beginning. We're starting at the beginning. There's a lot of deepening that can happen from here, and there's opportunities for that to happen later on. But right now, let's just start at the beginning with movement. So Betsy's going to come on, and Betsy's going to help us to learn more through experience, through movement about the coordination pattern. Betsy is a dancer choreographer. She helped develop a scale so that you can test to see what your coordination home pattern is and your style. She had a dance company for about 16 years, Betsy, something like that, in New York City. She lives in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and she's my friend and colleague. And you can see here, she co-wrote a book with Ginny Whitelaw. Ginny Whitelaw is now a Zen master. And Betsy and Ginny, they co-wrote this book after much going back and forth, called Move to Greatness, Focusing the Four Essential Energies of a Whole and Balanced Leader. And it's an amazing book, especially for people who are just entering into movement and learning about their movement and energy style patterns, because you can go in anywhere really in the book. I have this book so dog tagged, you wouldn't believe it. I've been working with this book for a number of years now. I got it when I started Interplay in 1994. And now it's fully, I mean, I don't know, it's fully, there's no perfect, but I really have integrated the system. I think about the patterns in every aspect of my life. And even my husband, who is doesn't go woo, doesn't do, he's like, oh yeah, I see that in that person. I see that thrust. Oh yeah, I see that, And so it's really fun. It actually is very, very fun to learn about not only your own, but other people's patterns, because it helps you relate to them better. You learn about their personality styles. It can be used widely, and I'd love to see it. Both of us would love to see it used more widely in organizations and leadership training, right, Betsy? Yep. And so we talked about the Selkie myth and the waters. What I'd like to do is just take your hand, one hand, right hand, left hand, both hands, and just move them around. Just kind of move them where they want to go. Little, big. I'm doing this thing for rheumatoid arthritis where I go like this, and this, and this. Do whatever feels right. And then close your hand and open it. And close your hand and open it. And do a little thrust movement. And little tiny. And then just do some circles with your hand. And let your hand flow like the water flows, and then make it turbulent. It's chaotic. And then let's just let your hands hang. Just let them flop. Just really. And then how about a little bit of shape? Just make a shape. Make any kind of shape. 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 Shape, 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 shape. And then a little bit of swing. Let's just swing. Yeah, let me get up a little bit. Just I'll move my whole body a little bit because I need to get out of that chair. Swing. This is not my full out swing. Believe me, you can see it on my video. As I hit my wall, hit the upstairs wall up here. Yeah. So yeah. So then what I'd like to do, just shake all that out. And take a deep breath. and let that go, whatever that was, that beauty that was there. And then I want you to just think about somebody that you love, somebody that you love deeply. And when you have that person, I want you to just move your hand in a nice hand dance. You can close your eyes. I'm just going to close my eyes a little bit. And just let your hand move in whatever way you want to do in honor of that person. Just because you love them, just let your hand. And you can do this with your eyes open, eyes closed. You can do this if, like I do, waiting for the ferry, while you're standing in line at the grocery store, before you go to bed. It's very meditative. Or you can do it more energetically. If you really want to do it, you can find it out. But I don't want to do that. I want to do it just, this is what I want to do for the person I love. But in my case, Michael. Yeah, in my heart. It's really amazing what you can do with our hands and our feet. What would we do without them? Think about the people who don't have hands and feet, that have had injury. Some remarkable things they can do even now with prosthetics and everything. Okay, so we're gonna let that go, the hand dance, but you can do that. That's something you can take with you from the workshop anywhere you go, right, Betsy?
Right.
Right, anywhere you go.
Bored again, we can sit there and do a little dance.
That anytime. And you can also take that visualization down that garden path, down to wherever that place is for you, and that person or spirit animal or God, goddess, mentor, sage, teacher, whoever it is. Okay, so I'm going to give it over to Betsy for some.
So what we're going to do, let me just explain a little bit about the coordination patterns first. The coordination patterns, what they really are, is they're a neuromuscular way that your body and your electrical system fires off your muscles and your brain to make certain things happen. One is coordination, and there are 4 patterns, and they make 4 different ways or qualities of motion. So there is the thrust pattern, pushing, pulling. There is a hang pattern, just kind of letting everything go. There is a shape pattern, which is like yoga, and there is the swing pattern, which is like swing dance or the hula, okay? At the same time, they coordinate which part of your brain is firing off first. So just to give you an example, the shape pattern takes you to the thinking part of your brain. And the thrust pattern, one of the things it does is to take you to the visual part of your brain. I'm pointing to certain places in your brain because there really are certain places in your brain. And that's where it goes first, okay? So you've got the body and its movement, and you've got the brain and what's going first, and that each of those is coordinated, and then they're coordinated to each other. So it's sort of the mind-body link, coordinated to each other. So that's what the patterns are, and that's why they make our coordination, and they make these dynamics of behavior, and the psychosoma dynamics. So we can use them. Use the patterns and the exercises and different ways of working with the patterns, which I've been developing for 50 years, and Mary Alice has been helping me. We've been working together how many years now? 10, 15?
I don't know. I don't know.
A long while. Anyway, that we've been working together, developing it even more. And so there are basically a couple things, the patterns. You can use the patterns as a tool to help you with a thing called your embodiment, okay? The way you're embodied, the way you function. So one of the things is just to move better, to have better motor skills, to be able to move in an ergonomic way so you prevent injury, you don't have pain, to be better coordinated for whatever you want to do. You want to do yoga, you want to golf, you want to do Tai Chi, whatever you want to do physically, you can do better if you're better coordinated. And you can also release tension and release those lockup things the body does sometimes and the strains it gets into. So that's number one. Then number two, it's because these patterns, each of us does all 4 patterns, but one of the patterns is your lowest tension level pattern. And it's also your pattern of creativity and of awareness. That's what the research shows. So this pattern is the pattern that you use when you're in low tension and as you function in different styles, whenever you're creative, and it's a great part of who and what you are. So Mary Alice has been taking you on a trip through a swing personality because that's who and what she is. Mary Alice is deeply relaxed or all day or whenever she does anything creative, she really is coming out of and through that swing pattern. So I'm going to just give you a little demonstration. I want you just, if you can, get up, move with me. First thing you're going to do is just stand and rock from side to side. And if you put your weight over your arch and not back on your heels, which a lot of people do, put it over your arch, you're actually improving your coordination while you're having this embodied experience. And what you're going to feel as you rock back and forth is you're going to sense weightedness, weight, and your weight is going down into your feet. You're feeling how you're getting heavier and heavier, and the weight is going down into your feet as you just rock from side to side. Because one of the dynamics of swing is weightedness. And if you just swing your arm a little bit, you'll feel that weightedness is both heaviness and lightness. Heaviness and lightness. Heaviness and lightness. Another thing about swing is if you just swing your hands, just like this, just all, whatever, and see how your joints get loose, okay? So if you wiggle all over, your joints get loose. So if you want to have loose muscles, if you've got yourself all uptight or you feel stressed out, you just wiggle all over like most animals do, and your muscles will get looser. So that's another good thing about the weighted experience and the swing experience. Now I want you to put your hands on your belly, okay? And just bounce up and down, all right? And if your hands are near your belly button, you're gonna feel your belly button going in and out, okay? Now that's the trigger center for the swing pattern. That you actually have a cell down there that's just like the cells you have up in your brain, right down there in your belly, okay? Chinese call it the Tom Tien. Okay, so anyway, so that you can't try, if you try to laugh, can you imagine trying to laugh or cry or do any kind of feeling emotion without using this part of your body? Of course you can. It's, my goodness, think of Santa Claus. So anyway, this is your swing. And so swing pattern is about feeling. It's the feeling personality, Jungian feeling personality uses the swing pattern. When you're in swing, you're feeling. When you're feeling, you're in swing. Okay, so that's another big part. Now, also, if your eyes are going back and forth, okay, in REM, right? What are you doing? What's one of Mary Alice's favorite things?
Dreaming.
Right? And when you're dreaming, you're in the swing embodiment. Your whole body is dreaming. It's not just, people kind of think their dreams are just up in their brain. somehow, but it's not. It's not just up in your brain. It's among other things. It's in your body. It's in your eyes. Okay, so that thing. Now another thing, how do you know that a dog is playing? Okay, they're wiggling. Wiggle your tail. Come on, wiggle. It's very hard not to laugh and to start get playful when you're wiggling your tail. Well, dogs, horses, cats, all wiggle. Humans, we wiggle when we're playing. Watch kids and watch adults. Try not to wiggle. So if we're playing, we're using the swing pattern. Play is swing, swing is play. You can feel that lightheartedness when you wiggle your tail. It's goofy, right? You can feel what that's about. So we have all those things. We also have with swing, let's say you're painting a painting, okay? And you're painting this painting like this, okay, with your wrist moving like this. That's Impressionism, right? That's how Impressionists paint. Well, all the embodied dynamics of swingness come with that brushstroke. So that artist is in the mind, body, brain, whole embodiment pattern state of swing when they're painting. And they got color and they got dreamy stuff. And oh, you should see Mary Alice's paintings. They are full of swing, which you would expect. Okay, so you
full of color.
What?
Full of color.
Full of color, yes, color. When you're in swing, we work with colors and things in our workshops because that's a big part of the whole swing experience. So that's a lot about what swing is. Swing is your feeling self, it's your collaborator self, it's group oriented, it's interactive. Play by nature is interactive. And just one of the things that swingers like a lot is loyalty. You can hear a lot of the loyalty concepts that are in this workshop today. Mary Alice is a very loyal person. Right, Mary Alice?
I think I am, yeah.
Okay, so that's swing. And one way you can get to know what one embodied pattern feels like that's different than another is to do the different ones. So now I'm going to do thrust, okay? So take your hands and you're going to push them very hard together. And at the same time, push down into your feet as hard as you can, okay? Now you're in a state of thrust, all right? You feel that pressure, you feel strength, right? You feel the muscles right above your pubic bone and around your hips in the front getting there or tightening, right? That's the trigger center for thrust, all right? Now, if you take one hand and you take another hand and you push them together really hard, they tend to slide out from each other, right? But basically one against the other is juxtaposition, okay? We know how to do juxtaposition because we're thrust. It's in our thrust nature. Also the diagonals in our thrust nature. Also the sense of now. Okay, just do it kind of just all of a sudden push and you'll feel that sense. You're right here, right now, and you're ready to do something, right? If I'm going to do something, I'm going to use my thrust. Okay, of course, that's kind of high. You can do it light, easy thrust too, but doing is thrust, okay? It's very different than swinging. Swingers do things and everything, the swing pattern, but it's very, very, just a swing and then go thrust. You see how much more powerful that thrust is than the swing is, okay? Now, besides those two things with the thrust, you got something like spear throwing, okay? So when you throw a spear, you use your thrust, all right? So we're gonna pretend we're throwing a spear. So get your spear in your right or left hand, whichever you are handed it, and you're gonna take your spear and on the diagonal, you're gonna throw it and go ahead and look at what you're throwing it up because that's what you're gonna naturally do anyway, because it's very visual and it's very goal oriented. I'm gonna do that right there. It's very visual, and it's also very assertive, right? And because it has that assertion and that power And the juxtaposition, okay, it's very competitive. When you're in thrust, you become mindful of competing with yourself or with other people. It's do it, compete, power, go now. Okay, so the thrust driver is using their senses. And they are sensing, they're using their eyes, they're using their senses to test something. How do you know that salt is salty? You test it. Test it. Okay, that's sensating. So we're going to sensate, we're drivers, we're goal oriented, and it's really a lot about the Japanese culture has a lot of judo, Japanese far ranging. There's a great deal of thrustness in that Japanese culture, and a big thing that they're about is honor. Okay, just like the swingers are about loyalty, this is about honor, about doing it right. Okay, so then let's take a look at shape. Now, I'm kind of doing a little bit different kind of ways for each of these patterns to get to know them and feel them, just to show you all the different ways they show up. So with the shape pattern, it's like yoga. And this exercise actually came from an Ayurvedic exercise. So put your hands out to the side, turn your little finger to the ceiling, twist it, and then bring your hands together until they're in a prayer position with your elbows up. Okay, get your elbows up away from your body and you'll feel a lifting. This is at the diaphragm. This is this trigger center for shape. Okay, now just stay there and breathe. Just be in your stillness. And where you are is in shape place. A really important psychothermodynamic for shapeness and a feeling in your body is place is where you are. That's the definition by a great researcher in the movement called Laban. And shape is where you are. It's your place. Okay. Now, let me show you how shape works in doing something like arithmetic, which is very shape. Let's count together. We'll use our fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. There you are. You hold it up. If you're a little kid and somebody said, how many is 5? You probably go 5 with your hand up. 5. Okay. You wouldn't go up to somebody and go 5 and swing, right? You wouldn't go 5 kind of thing. No, your place. Think of how much in arithmetic you've got the columns and the decimal points and all those other things, which are all about place. If I'm here, then I'm not over there, okay? If it's 1, it's not 2. So place is very much about correctness, right? I'm here, I'm an individual, and I'm in the correct place. Now, if I'm in a court, you got the king and queen, they're in the correct place. If I'm sorting things, pretend you're sorting colors, putting red blocks over here, a few red blocks, and put a few green blocks over there, okay? So you're sorting. That's from your place self. That's from thinking and thinking in a linear way. Now, one place that everybody pretty much in our culture, women anyway, use the place walk is when they get married and they come down the aisle. So we're gonna just try that out to see how this placeness can walk. So put your hands together. You can be just gently or the prayer position, whichever you like, but keep it near your diaphragm and just take a step and then put your foot together. Take a step, put your feet together. Take a step. You've done this before. If you ever graduated from anything, right? Step and feet together and see how you come to a certain place each time you step. If there was music, you would be putting that place on the beat. That's part of classical music. Okay, talking about music, One of the instruments that uses shapeness is a violin. So we're going to pretend to play a violin. So you got the fingers up here and you're holding on to the top, you know, where you got to change the notes, okay? And you got your bow here, and you're going to take your chin and you're going to turn your chin and place it on the chin rest. And as soon as you do that, and you place it on the chin rest, you're going to feel yourself go into shape. You'll feel that lift. Try it again. Turn your chin, hold the hand out, so the diagonal, turn your chin and place it on the chin rest. And that shapeness comes in, and then you can pretend play that you're playing the violin, okay? Now, if I go from playing a violin, pretty much the same instrument, to playing a fiddle, okay? Let's give that fiddle a tune. So, and you're fiddling it with that, you're gonna swing, right? And swing and fiddles are very, very playful, right?
And I play the fiddle.
What?
I play the fiddle.
You play the fiddle.
I can go get it right now.
I think very, very swing. You can really get into it with a fiddle, being super swing. Okay, so the shape, go back to that, is very thinking, very formal. Let's do a cup of tea, all right? We're gonna do a cup of English tea. You didn't get your finger out. Now, if you have a little teeny teacup, okay, and it's full of tea, and you're one at the Queen's garden party, and that's the kind of cups they give you in the saucer, you have to be in shape to tell that, and you definitely have to be in shape to put the cup down gently onto the saucer to carry your saucer around. It's not a mug, okay? Totally different movement pattern can happen with a mug, but with a teacup, especially when you're outside, and especially if you're a woman and you're in heels, let me tell you, it's hard not to be in shape. Otherwise, that tea is going to spill. It's going to be a problem. The only way to manage that tea cup and saucer in the English are very shaped culture, just like the Japanese are thrusty, okay? And of course, the Hawaiians, of course, are very swing, right? With their hula, etc. All right, so now we got one more left. The shape is thinking, organizers, sorting things, and they're individually oriented, and they want respect. I'm here, you're there, I respect you, you respect me. Okay, and that's all part of the English culture, for instance. So then we're gonna look at hang. Now hang, I think, is easy, and I'm gonna do it a different way. We're gonna use your breath. You've actually heard Mary Alice do it a couple times already today, because hang is letting go. And when she wanted to take you from one section to the next section, she wanted you to kind of let go of the thing you had already done so you'd be ready to do the new thing. And so she asked you to do something, although we're doing it a little bit bigger, a southern sigh. So you're gonna go, ah. Let's try it again. Let's do a big one, because do it bigger, you'll feel it more, you'll have more of that embodied experience. Just notice your hands, they let go, right? This pattern, this embodied experience of a southern sigh is hangness, it's letting go, which is a huge piece of hangness. The other thing that is hang is being random. So I'm going to let you let go, and I want you to walk around, but you're going to wander as you walk around. Very different than that shape walk. Just kind of wander, walk around. Just wander, don't go straight. Just kind of let yourself be random. Move all around. Let your head don't hold anything together. Let it all be free and flowy. Just kind of wander. Look at all kinds of things. Look up, look down. All over the place, and you're wandering through. Okay, now we're going to come back to the center and take one hand, and you're going to let that hand wander, and it's going to go random. Okay, and don't hold your head still, because if you're holding your head still as your hand is wandering, it's not in the wandering, it's not in the free flow, it's not in the hang, it's in shape or thrust or something. You have to let your head now try two hands, and they're doing something different. Now, for some people, this isn't so hard to do, but for other people, to do each hand doing its own thing and your head doing something else too, really being in total random, is a skill, and you have to learn how to do that. But it's good. Okay, one place that, for instance, golfers, you know how they have to, the end of the swing of the golf is hang. It's that total going throughness. Okay, go with the flow. All right, so we have that hang. I'm just keeping myself. Oh yes, you're letting go. And one of the things is you're letting go of things the way they were, the way that everybody says they're supposed to be. And you can use, in that state of being, you can use your intuition, and you can see how the essences of things, you can play with things and then see their essences. So a lot of times in my workshops, I'll say a sentence like this. I say, how do you know that an elephant is like a daisy? And most people look at me and go, huh? And sometimes it can take 10 minutes. So I'm saying, come on, guys, you know, little teeny kids can tell me how elephants like a daisy. Actually, there are thousands of ways an elephant can be like a daisy. And I'll go ahead and give you some hints. Chemistry. There's carbon, right? They both have carbon. There's all kind of chemical ways. An elephant and a daisy are the same thing. They both use oxygen. They both move. A lot of people don't think about that, how they both move. They move differently, but they both move, okay? They have color. They have texture. And there's, as they say, if you can play a game, try it for yourself. Sometime just sit down and write down for yourself all the different ways an elephant and a daisy are alike, okay? And it'll really help your brain, among other things. So it'll make your brain have many, many, many more connections. It'll improve the way you use your brain. And if you go into a business kind of place and they tell you to do a stream of consciousness and they writing down words about X, Y, or Z, what you're doing is as you go down and write all those different words that are connected by their essences, okay, is this intuition hang way of processing information. It's very freeing. It opens you to new ideas, and it really helps people get things going, right? A lot of times they'll do that in the very beginning of an operation or trying to get a group together to get new ideas and things. They'll do a stream of conscious kind of thing. Okay, now besides the wandering in the stream of consciousness, it's about possibilities, right? So if I'm wandering around and I'm thinking about how all these things are the same, and I'm finding samenesses in chemistry, as I'm finding in biology, as I'm finding in dance, as I'm finding in religion or whatever, it opens me up to new possibilities. I'm thinking outside the box. I'm coming up with whole new companies. Somebody like Bill Gates is very hang. Okay, so that's the hang pattern. Now, when you have the hang pattern, that's your intuition, they're explorers, okay? And they're possibilities oriented. And it's kind of funky, but they're about justice. They want everything to be just, because if you're really at the essential level, you need justice to make it work right. So that's hang. Now, if you have one pattern, you're in a state. And I was describing each of these as one pattern and giving you today some of the essential embodiment experience from one. But if you have two patterns together, that's how we mostly do. You're at the style level. So when Mary Alice is doing her work, yes, she's using swing, but a lot of times she's using swing hang, or she might be using swing thrust, or she might be using swing shape. So we're going to try swing hang, which is a scatting. Now, again, you got to kind of let this go. So you're just going to make crazy sounds, you know, because it's playful, and it doesn't have to be right or wrong. You're just going to open up and make all kind of crazy sounds and let yourself hang as you do it. Let your body move randomly as well as move in a swinging, bouncy way. And you go, come on and scat with me. Think Ella Fitzgerald, pretend you're her. Pretending is a wonderful swing thing.
Oh, Betsy, we're going to have to tie it up so we can.
Okay, we're ready good. We're ready to look at that.
Just complete what you were saying, though. But yeah, we're gonna.
That's what I was going to say. Bobby McFerrin uses that a lot. right? Scatting, all those different kinds. That style. 2 patterns is when you get into the style. So you're going to put that sign up for me, and we're going to take a quick look at the 4 patterns, okay? And you can see all those things we were talking about, and even a few extra. So you've got karate and Stravinsky and Picasso and the Japanese doing all this power, engaging power and strength, and the shape people. You've got classical ballet, yoga, Beethoven, Michelangelo, English qualities, being correct, holding still. You've got in the swing one, all these wonderful things we've been doing today with Mary Alice: bouncing, swaying, playful, interacting, feeling, people-oriented, dreaming, team-oriented, group, engages our imagination and our cooperation. And then with the hang, you've got that explorer and intuition and free flow, random, going all over the place. Graceful. It's very graceful, intuitive, and the possibilities oriented, and engages your ability to be connected and let go. Tai Chi and other kinds of motion, eyes, etc. Oh, by the way, R, I love R. He's swing, and he's always doing the belly button in all his paintings and things. Isn't that great? When I saw that, I went, yes.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to, we've got about a little less than a half an hour. So we're going to watch a video, which is another part of my creative life that comes from the heart, memoir project performances. And then we'll close and just tie up things up for the day. Okay, so John, you can go ahead and start that video. Which means the fire. So they were going to be built up, housed through the church, fed in order to birth children for the king. Each family was paid a certain sum. And in the process, these women were burnt up. They withered away, many of them. They were depressed. And if they were wearing pelts, they would lose their pelts in that time and shed, and their skin would start to crack. And they would be slowly dying for king and church. Dear God, make me as pure and as beautiful, wearing flowing gowns and giving all of me in service, just like Mary. I was named Mary after all. From the point of birth and even before, I knew that I was to rise to the occasion and be like a Madonna. During my childhood, and we were always in the presence of this statue and myth, but we didn't call it a myth, oh no. This was real. She wore flowing gowns, and she stepped, and stood very, very groundedly on Satan, the snake. The Mother of God. And I, in all my innocence, was supposed to be, somehow, I was supposed to be beautiful, bountiful, beautifulous. How was I going to do that? One day in California, in my California body, not my Northwest body where I was raised, but my California body, I went to see a new therapist. I was depressed. I was lonely. I had my kids at home as a single mom, but I was searching for something and found myself at a Catholic church where there was a counselor. Almost from the very start, she started telling me, I am in a family of women who cannot conceive. I want to have a baby, but I can't. She knew from my history that I had just told her that I worked with pregnant women and women who couldn't conceive. And she continued to tell me about her plight and her sense of being disembodied. And so, as tight as I was, and as disavowed from my own body as I was, I offered myself. I said, do you want me to be a surrogate mother for you? To birth a baby? No big deal. I've done it before 3 times. I love being pregnant. I can do this. It'll be a joy to help you have a family of your own.
Well, you see, I became pregnant in a very, very, very short order. It only took 2 tries. And guess what? It was an immaculate conception. And I remember thinking, I am the Madonna. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am wearing blue flowing gowns. And I have the energy for this. I know what I'm doing. I've birthed before. No big deal, right? We all have scars. I know you know what I mean. Every one of us has scars. Mine, one of them anyway, it's right here. When I went in to give birth, my water bag had broken. And quickly, as the saying goes, they put me under. I was unconscious. They pushed and pushed and pushed my legs down so I couldn't push. I woke up in the hospital bed where I worked, the same hospital I worked as a nurse at the time. I looked down to find a bandage. Right here. Feeling pretty off balance. I went home from the hospital and I found myself depressed. But in my depression, and in my going under, and in my pushing down, I realized as I sat in a chair at home, I didn't want to create a baby. I wanted to create play. I wanted to create from my imagination. I wanted to create what I wasn't sure of, but I knew. I knew that I wanted to create from my heart, and that had not happened. That I had shed in a way that was very harming to me and to everyone else, certainly my children. And so I ran, and I ran, and I ran, and I ran, until I exhausted myself. I went to school, I went to work, I took care of the kids. And then in 1989, a couple of years after giving birth to my surrogate son, I ended up in a dream work retreat. And I started listening to my dreams. The first dream that I had that I recall from that time was a phone call. Somebody was calling me to playful action. I began to flow and have those dreams and listen to them. I listened deeply and I took playful action. And one of the actions I took that came right out of a dream was to create a dance video. A dance-only video that became a story about my own personal story and of the seal woman story, the Sophie story. It was that moment of samadhi, that moment when you can't do anything else. The dream was of acrobats and clowns. And I had one of my instructors in his dream body who was our research professor in my doctoral program. And I was called to research the life, to dig deep and to dance, the dance of the silky and of myself, of my unique self with the big S. So I dove into the watery depths. And all around me were seals. When I filmed part of the Silky film, there was a little harbor seal who watched the entire filming from the waters in California, in my California body. He did not take his eyes off of me the whole time. I'll never forget his eyes. And from that moment on, gosh, all I wanted to do is play! Not only myself, but with everybody else. And I realized many things. As I got to know my playful self, I realized that play is not just silly, but it's for everyone. It's our birthright. And it's for me. It's for me. I could take that in. I could take that in as a gift to myself, and I could give in a much more balanced way than I had as a surrogate mother. In a beautiful give and take with play. So today, I play through challenges, and I help others do that too. And we play out for joy, for the sheer joy of it. There are so many ways to play, and we're all unique. That's the great thing. All worldwide, we're all unique. I was invited to a class in the last year, and the class was a kids' art class. The instructor, Christine, said to me, "You're the only one, Mary Alice, who would invite to this class. It's for 3rd grade on up." And I went, "Great! I love that. I love being in a 3rd grade on up class because I'll learn so much and I'll get to play." And I figured if I enjoy play with finger paints and jump roping and swinging and hopscotch and much more, and lots of other kids through elders will want to do that too. And so, it's now my mission to spread the value and benefits of play for myself and for all of you here present today and out there in the world. Breathe. And breathe again. Thank you so much for playing.
Hi, everybody. This has been a rich time. We have about maybe 7 more minutes. Not to take up any more of your time. So for those of you who are able to stay with us, I wanted to mention that Anne Lindquist and Kenneth Curtis are the 2 musicians who play with me during my performances. And sometimes I have other improvisational musicians who work with me as I travel, but they're my mainstay in the Northwest anyway. Anne has many recordings, and so does Ken, and they play together and they have different groups and things. And you can find them on LinkedIn. Anne Lindquist and Kenneth Curtis. And then I want to mention, or want to say that, because I don't think my segue was very good from Betsy to the video, but I want to say that, can you see the different patterns in the video? I can certainly see as I perform thrust. I can see shape. I can see me doing shape. I can definitely see me doing swing and also hang. And so that's the kind of thing that you can travel with and just start witnessing other people, right, Betsy?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I was so glad that we had done that right before you showed that video, because I'm hoping that the people watching will, well, I just did that. I just did that. You know, I could feel, I can have a more embodied experience of your art because they're the audience. And that's another way you can use the patterns to be a better.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can go to, well, Betsy and I would love to do more of this work, but you can go to art galleries and you can see the patterns in the art, and you can move with the patterns that you see in Monet or Gauguin or Miro, which would be more thrust, or you know, all the different artists, even my husband, Michael.
You can actually live their embodied experience when they were painting, and then you can do your own embodied experience and compare the two, because they're not necessarily the same, and that's a real trip.
Yeah, and you can, you know, there's a lot of workshops now where they're artists are taking a painting and then everybody's painting the same painting. And of course, it's not the same painting when they all come out, but wouldn't it be wonderful to incorporate the energetic patterns into those workshops too? So those are all, there's so many different ways we'd love to play with our Psyche Soma Dynamics work, Betsy and I. But just really to say, when you're watching films, or when you're watching videos from different, or you're at workshops, or you're out and about, just really, I just invite you to witness, just for, and it is for the play of it. It's really fun. And my strongest conflict would be with thrust. When people are thrusty, I want to go. And oftentimes thrust people think that I'm trying to take something away from them. And so I've learned to talk on the diagonal with people that are thrust, and also give them something that they want so they can align with me, because they're not going to go with my swing. That's not the first thing. They just want to get it done. Got to focus here. So, and thrust is really good because that's how we did this video. John and I met. We had to go through the agenda. Then I had to meet with Betsy, and we went through and we scheduled and where the videos are playing. Obviously, imperfection came in there because the video wasn't synced exactly right. Some of the videos, a couple of them, I thought they would go a little longer and different things. So, but it all worked. I think it all worked anyway. Don't you, Betsy? I really think it did. And so there's room for improvement.
If anybody has any questions for me, they can reach me at Betsy Wetzig. It's all, you'll have it on the slide thing. Betsy Wetzig at outlook.com. And you can, I also, if you send me that, I'll send you a neat little chart that tells you all the different patterns and different artists and things doing different stuff. So
there you go. And you can reach me, Mary Alice Long, at Mary Alice Long PhD. And also, John put all the information in the LinkedIn chat, so you can find it there as well. All the information we're giving you just verbally. You can write me at maryalice@play-peace.com, and I offer individual sessions, group retreats, and I'm going to be, of course, I'm going to be writing more about my memoir but it's going to be coming out by the end of the year. My edited manuscript is to go to the publisher as of September 17th. So that's the day I met Will. So that's the day I want my son, my surrogate son. So that's the day I want the manuscript to go in. And then at the beginning of, or at the end of this year, December of 2022 through December 2023, I'm going to be, the hope is I'm going to be leading a year-long exploration of creativity and play. It's called Creativity in Play. I'm hoping Steve Dahlberg, my colleague, can join us, and maybe some other people too, and Betsy, of course. So as long as Betsy wants to come aboard, which I think she does. So looking forward to that. And then there'll be more information forthcoming on LinkedIn as well about that. So I really appreciate you coming aboard. Just want to say in the last, just 1 minute, that really hope that today you can take away that you are a unique self. You're a playful, creative self, and you have everything to name yourself and your work and take it out into the world, and to move it, to dance it, to speak it, to name it, to share your stories. So thank you so much. Thank you, Betsy. Thank you, John. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Ken, for your beautiful music. And we'll be seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, and live stream is out. Congratulations, Mary Alice.
Thank you.
Hey.
good job, Mary Alice.
Thanks.
Ta-da.
It's like I always said, I was thinking how when I backpacked when I was younger, and I put on, but I first did my first backpacking trip, and I put on that 40-pound pack. It was like, can I really move my foot? And that's how I feel when I start any performance. I have to start moving my feet, and then I'm fine. Then I go. Yeah.
And the plan of it, I think, was very, it just worked out so well. And all the way through, it went from, it's very logically, it was a really easy step-by-step thing to follow. And it kept getting richer and richer, I think. So until you came to the end, that last performance, it was really.
And I think there were these synchronistic moments or connections like that. The last video, I didn't really realize how impactful it would be after the coordination patterns. I really didn't.
Yeah, that was.
It's like an exercise.
Because I really had embodied all that by then. And so it all showed up in the video, which is really great. What do you think? What do you think, John?
That would be a fun exercise, is to have people identify patterns as you go through the piece. And so if you're doing an interactive class, that can be a chat piece where people look for patterns and then can chat them. You'll see the response of what people are recognizing inside of there. And then hopefully you'll see, you'll appreciate. Then we put some videos out of order, and we've added another writing exercise. And so that's what I'm doing on my side. This is what allows you to keep talking, right? And as long as I know it's coming up, then I can actually move things around in the background for the most part, and then make sure they're here when you want them. And so that's the bonus for not trying to, when you try and do it alone, it means you got to kind of like, you got to move over here in this space and now do some logical stuff and then come back and talk. And in this way you can keep flowing. And hopefully you'll see that when you go back and watch the video.
No, I already saw that. And my main fear, as I told you, John, was that I wouldn't get on.
Oh yeah.
That, that I wouldn't get on and that it wouldn't work and then the whole thing would tumble down. But it all worked. And the text thing, I didn't get to see the text, but I guess there wasn't. We'll have to talk about that for the next time, how that
I suggest you do your class though all on here in Zoom, and then you can see Zoom's chat, because you can see my chat.
yeah.
And once you get everybody inside of here, then I think too, because it's play and it's interactive, you want to work with them inside of here.
Yeah, and LinkedIn Live, I mean, I never used that before, so that was a whole new experiment.
Will we be able to see the chat? That they
Yes.
were-
So,
I'd love
well,
to, if anybody was.
the LinkedIn chat is on the video now, Betsy. So you can actually go back to the LinkedIn, and when you replay it, it'll see the chat.
Oh, good.
The chat that's here for us inside of Zoom. When we're done with this, I'm going to give Mary Alice a link to the recording, and she can give it to you. And you'll see also your whole transcript, right?
Oh.
That's something that's really useful. So sometimes you could take the transcript and take parts of it and make like writing or blog posts out of it if you want.
Oh, how will we see the transcript?
It's a downloadable file, so you downloaded it, and it has a specific format, but you basically can cut and paste it all out into Word.
Uh,
Yeah, so that's something new. Like in Zoom, that's they turn on transcription for everybody. So I made sure it was running here, and then it generates one of the files. It generates is actually the entire
oh, how
transcript.
neat.
Who's talking?
So,
Said what?
yeah. So I'll get the recording from today and then the transcript.
Yep, and the chat. And this will be our private chat, but whatever you see in the chat window here,
Yeah.
that also shows up.
And then do people do the people on LinkedIn continue to see anything, or is that's just done?
The people know on LinkedIn, what I would do for this, the Mary Alice, is because this was a great class that you composed all together, is that you can now still save that, or share that link, like into other locations, right? Other friends, you can tag people with it. So they don't have to watch it live. They can actually still go back and watch it as if they were here with you.
So I could share it on other sites like
Yep.
what-
Whatever, right? Any of the other places you hang out. Again, you're not asking for a fee. You're not really selling. You're sharing your information. So it's a great way to, reconnect with anybody, push out new information. Maybe later you can put on there saying, I'm releasing a new book. Here's a 3-hour free class where I mention it, something like that.
I see. Yeah, I could put it on my website, couldn't I? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a great place too. So you can embed this video inside your website. So you could say,
Oh, that'd be perfect because that's what my nephew was asking, my godson, because he wanted to put the preview on, but I didn't have the the link for him. So I didn't think about that.
Yep. If not, though, you can do it with YouTube if you don't do it on LinkedIn. So I think LinkedIn can do it, but I know YouTube for sure can do it. And so you get some website code basically that says put a video here.
One of the things for Mary Alice, for her website, can she put up just a short section of it or something like that she thinks is particularly, so people, this is just a 5-minute something that people could just as a preview or something to pull them into it.
Yeah, she has to edit the video. So you basically have to just get a video editor that can chop the beginning and end off. So the second thing, though, that you can do is that it's even better if when you put it on YouTube is you put time marks to the different sections. And then people can jump ahead, or you can actually give them a link that says, hey, I just wanted you to see this thing only about the Selchie thing, right? Or I only want you to see the French Canadian thing. So it'll jump to the video, right? And it'll say, here's where this is. It'll do what's called chaptering. So kind of like a book, you can take the 3 hours of video and chop it up into smaller pieces.
Well, the reason I got the video, I had the 30-minute video. There's these people here who actually moved to Port Angeles from Squim, which is close by too, but they chopped it up into the Sparrow and the French Canadian others, so I could ask them to do the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Goes for
because
it.
they'll have the link that you or the whatever you give me. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get a full video from YouTube, and then you can take that whole video and put it back up. Or sorry, the whole video from Zoom. You can download it and upload it to YouTube. The time marking is really easy. All you do is put like time marks, like 3:14. It'll jump to 3:14 when you click on the numbers.
Oh, it might be easy for you, John. Maybe not
You have
for
to know all the you have to watch through the video and find out what all the time codes are. Again, if you can't do it, if you have the time codes, it'll be super fast for somebody else, whether it's me or somebody else to do it.
Yeah, what they had me do is look at it, and then I would just tell them where. I didn't have the exact, but I told them
I want to start here. I want to stop here. Yeah, that's what you and I did too, for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, as soon as I get that and pay you the rest of your fee, then yeah, of course. Then yeah, be sure to send me that link, and then I can take care of that tomorrow once I get my board together.
It's going to be on Zoom, on YouTube now.
No, not yet. She has to do it. It's my video will come from Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying these are things that she could do with this video.
Apparently, you can upload it to YouTube, which I've done with. That's how I did the 30-minute one. Yeah,
I wanted to show it to John. So what you're saying, you can can I upload it? I can't upload it from Zoom.
You could upload it to your own Zoom channel too, if Mary will let you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
When I get the link, when Mary shares it with you, that will allow you to download all the files, and then you could do something. Then you could take that big video file and put it back up on your YouTube.
Oh, great. Then I can show it to John. That's wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions or comments?
I think I'll have. Can I share with you some comments later? Because I'm sure
Absolutely.
it'll come up. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure it'll come up about the design and how we can better things the next time. And also, Betsy, I shared with Betsy about the idea of in an open studio, how we could work together and you could
Really move around.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we want to do that for our next Psyche-Soma Dynamics, right, Betsy?
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yep.
So
Can definitely help you with that if you want help.
we definitely do. I definitely do. Okay. Well, then we'll let you go for now, but we'll be in contact, I'm sure.
Of course. Excellent. Thank you so much for both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. You have a good evening. Have a good evening, Betsy.
Okay. Talk to you soon, Mary Alice.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Good job.